Not only has he order, his finances are in order as well. Right? He's not living a disorderly life. He lives a very orderly life. This orderly life is a moral order as well. It's a sort of a moral, spiritual, religious order as well. And Jesus looks at this man who's got it all together, see? He's got it all together. And what Jesus immediately sees in this man is the one thing he lacks. See, this man with all his order, everywhere he goes, everything that he does, every year that comes, he experiences this order, but he experiences the one thing that lacks. And it gnaws upon him. It's a hole in him. He carries this hole around him. This order is there. He doesn't do anything unsafe. He doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't do anything that's bothersome. He keeps the social order. He's part of the social order. He's fitted in. He's done things well. He works out. He eats well. Doesn't eat a lot of kalbi and all that kind of stuff. He eats the right thing. Right? He's a person like who's exemplary. Everything's in order. His 401k is in good shape. His stocks are doing well. Everything's well. He's got the best financial advisor. He's got everything. And not only that, he's an active person in church. Okay, he's just wonderful. It's like he doesn't have a hint of scandal in his life. He's not like people who say, well, this guy, his life's a mess. His life is in order. Jesus looks at his life. He doesn't see that. He just sees immediately the hole. And this man carries this hole all over the place. The hole is manifested in his relationship with Jesus as Jesus is talking to him. And Jesus says, one thing you lacked. One thing you lack. And the man it's hit in his heart. Yeah, I can feel it. In all that, I lack something. And he says, you know what you lack? See, he's not saying that he lacks poverty. Don't get him wrong. Don't get Jesus wrong. Jesus is not someone who's wanting to destroy the social order and just make everybody poor. See, the thing that you lack is this. You don't have something compelling enough in you to make you sell everything. You're not compelled by anything bigger than whatever's around. You don't have something that causes you to be bothersome. You don't have anything that is fiery enough, that you desire enough to make you a person that is willing to give up everything, maybe sell everything, maybe sell all your possessions, so that you can have the power of God in your life. So that your life can be reordered in me, that it can be changed, not just the furniture arranged, but something of a new substance put into you. So that you have the faith of God, so that the thing of God that's in you can grow to the end of the year. You don't have that. So when Jesus is saying, go sell everything, he's not saying, well, you should be poor. Why are you so rich? How can you be rich when all these other people are so poor? He's not talking about that. If you think that's what it is, you miss the point completely. What Jesus is saying is that one thing you lack, I can see it in you. Everywhere you go, I can see it in you. You do things with great order. Everything's great, wonderful. And he's not denying that, because he says, you should have that too. Yeah? You should obey the law. You should. This is, but for all the obeying that you do, for all the form that you have, you are not a person who's bothersome. You're not a bothersome person. That's the problem with you. You don't bother anybody. You got nothing that's botherable, that's bother-worthy. That's the problem. You're not like the kids who are able to sort of go for it and just jump into it, ask questions later, right? You're not like the kids that you ask questions first, and then you fit God into your little thing, right? Because God has already been rationalized into your system. You're not like the kids who just say, let's go. Jump off the high diving board. No, you don't have that, see? You don't have that. You don't have the guts there. You don't have this inside you. You actually have form, but you don't have fire. You don't have anything that's going to sustain you towards the end. When things are taken away from you, you are destroyed, see, because your life is in those things. You can't. You see, you can't. But there are other people, their life is, they're stripped of everything, and they keep going because that thing gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Like this blind man, you see, I imagine he said, like this blind man, you see. This blind man is stripped of everything, and everybody says, shut up, shut up. And He's lost everything. He's lost his finances. He's lost his 401k. He's lost everything. And then at the end of that, they said, shut up. And he says, all the more. All the more. See, when you have the thing that was missing, when you have that one thing you lacked, and that one thing you lack is filled up with something that's compelling, then when people shut you down, you get all the stronger. You get actually all the louder. And actually you become bothersome to people. May I suggest to you that actually the thing that actually keeps us from having something compelling is the form that we hold. The form of godliness that we have, or the form of having it all together, see? Because we are afraid to lose this. I know that happens in me. That happens to me all the time because I always feel that I don't have enough time, see? And so I begin to cavil. You know, back in Shakespeare, he said, we cavil on a hair's breadth. You know what it means? Is that I start counting 15 minutes and 10-minute things. I can squander a few hours just talking to someone, and then after that, I'm so desperate. I start pulling back my own form. I want time. I work on my schedules all the time. I spend sometimes more time on my schedule than on the things that I should be doing. Why? Because there's always plenty to lose. And what Jesus is speaking about the blind man when he says, your faith has made you well, is that faith manifests itself in a certain way. I don't know whether you have faith or not. I can't look down into your sweater and say, do you have faith? I can't go by your protestations of faith and all that. All I can see is this. When someone says, shut up, when someone strips something away from you, when you face fear, when people are coming against you, do you get louder or not? Do you become more bothersome or not? Do people find that you are so impervious to their discouragements that you get stronger and stronger? You're a hard person to deal with. You understand that I'm saying things in a little bit of a hyperbole. I mean, it may sound as if I'm hoping that all VCF people will be extremely obnoxious and all that. But trust me, I'm really not saying that. But there was something about this. In this whole chapter, I see people saying, she bothers me. With the children, they sternly order them to be quiet. With Jesus, he's saying, sell everything, and he's holding on to his form. In fact, may I suggest to you that if you look at the Gospels, how many of you think, if you count up all the people in the Gospels that are mentioned, groups of people, individuals and all that, how many people are actually referred to in the Gospel? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 who get fed, right? Right. Maybe 7,000, there are two incidences of people being fed. Crowds, multitudes, individuals. How many individuals do you think are mentioned in the Gospels? If you count Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. How many? Let's say 50. Okay, 40, 50, okay? And so we have maybe about 15,000 maybe, yeah? Or 11,000, 12,000, 15,000, and maybe 50. Does that make sense? A lot of people are mentioned in the Bible. Not everyone in the Bible of this schema are people that the Bible finds that interesting. Does that make sense? In fact, I would say in the Gospels are not really written about these 15,000 people. They're mostly written about the 50 or 40. Does that make sense? In fact, the Gospels speak about these 40 people or so who experience exceptional things from God. They experience the exception than the rule. So even though there are about 11 to 12 to 15,000 people who are there, the scriptures is not about them. It's not about this majority of people. It's about the exception. In fact, the scriptures, the Gospels, picks out these exceptions, and if you look at them and you just turn them upside down, and you look at them, they are weird to a large extent. The woman with the issue of blood, she's an exception. These two people, the widow and Bartimaeus, they are slightly disorderly. They're exceptional. may I suggest to you that the Gospels are about the exceptionals. Let's say it together, the exceptionals. You can call them desperados. I prefer to call them the exceptions or the exceptionals. And so this year, we are about the exceptionals. If you take the Gospels, you have to narrow it down and cut out all those thousands of people, and then you come to the exceptionals. And there are these few people who are compelled by something different, because these few people are picked out because they do something different from everybody else. Correct? It's true. You can take the Gospels and you can take the theology, but right now, when you kind of talk about the characters do something exceptional. That they do something exceptional, not because they are exceptional people, but because of the fact that perhaps they are so desperate, it drives them, when they're stripped of all these relationalities, they're stripped of all these good things, those important things, and they're brought down to the stump. They are brought down to a place in which they only have one thing. And that causes them to act in extraordinary ways. They're extraordinarily bothersome. They're not necessarily aggressive. In fact, I think the bothersomeness is sort of a byproduct. It's unintended. So Jesus says, will not he quickly come to those who cry to him day and night? So it's directed to God. But there's a certain way in which these lepers, these parents of demonically oppressed people, they cry to him in a certain way, in a certain commitment, a certain way in which it's like do or die. It's just, they manifest this desperado because they're brought to an end of themselves. And it is this that I feel we focus on. You see, most of what conventional wisdom teaches us to do is to focus on form, on getting our I's dotted and our T's crossed and all our duckies in a row. And Jesus is not critical of that. Yeah? Please don't get me wrong. We are not a church that believes that we should all just go, woo, yeah, and just take off our clothes and worship the Lord. No. We are people who believe that there is form, but the form is not the essence of it. Sorry, I hope you didn't mind that. I forgot myself for a little bit. There is still one thing lacking. You haven't got a compelling passion. You have not got a compelling raison d'etre. And everywhere I go, I see this thing lacking. Everywhere I go, I find people who are not willing to let go of things. They're not freed up. They're afraid they'll lose out. Everywhere I go, I see people who are bound up and fearful and scared. Because they've not been freed up. They've not met the Lord in that way. They're hoping that the sum total of these little things will sort of add up. All these many relationalities will add up to a life that is compelling. I want to tell you that it won't. But if you have the compelling thing, you'll make all the relationalities happen, and it will cause you to have relationships that you never had before, because you have something, you have some traffic going in your life. Amen? So I wonder whether it's in this that I can go back to this story of my friend, our friends who are planting this church, who are now finding themselves in the middle of something, a growing church, a church in which is very exciting, but they're finding themselves in the wilderness. They've not experienced all that there is for them to experience.